I feel like it's been a while since I just got to sit down and have a good old reaction here with you guys. So today I'm gonna be changing that as Miss Iloilo 2025 just took place. And as you know, I love me a good regional pageant. I love me just a good pageant with beautiful girls and quality answers. So today we're gonna be analyzing the top 3 Q&A portion of Miss Iloilo. And as usual, I'll be sharing with you guys my comments and opinions about every single one of the delegates. We're gonna praise the things that they delivered properly, and we're gonna give some feedback on the things that could have used some improvement. Now, I'm going to say that my expectation is very high, as Iloilo always deliver quality contestants, from Alexi Brooks to Dorothy, and even the girl who made me fall in love with pageantry, Rabia Mateo. So I hope that you find some entertainment and knowledge in this video. If you do, don't forget to drop a like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so just to start, it seemed like they were having a little bit of technical issues because they were waiting for the question and whatnot. The two hosts, Nicole and this young men, were trying their best to make it seamless, although it was a little obvious that something was going on. But finally we made it to the Q&A, and the first one is Karen, a girl that I have met before, and I know that she is a force to be reckoned with. So let's see how she handles this particular challenge. Let's go.
Part of the top 3 right there. So candidate number 5, are you ready for your question?
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
And your question is, we'll read it twice for you. As a woman of heartfelt beauty, what do you believe is one best practice of Iloilo that the rest of the Philippines can emulate? As a woman of heartfelt beauty, what do you believe is one best practice of Iloilo that the rest of the Philippines can emulate?
Honestly, this is a tricky question because we are going with kind of an expression. It's not really something that will normally make so much sense. A heartfelt beauty. How do you define a heartfelt beauty? Is it like a internal beauty, external beauty? And how do you make that heartfelt? I feel like it's like 2 words that sound nice and they just put them together. But there is also an edge to this question because we are asking the girl basically, what is it about the heartfelt beauty of women from Iloilo that the rest of the women from the Philippines, or perhaps the rest of the country, can learn from? So what is it that we have that they are lacking, or that they could improve based on how we do things? So there's a little bit of a challenge here. Let's say that I wouldn't want to be in her shoes right now. It's a tricky one.
Given that our LGU, our Iloilo LGU, and our beloved mayor has already taken a step in applying and having been awarded by UNESCO as one of the creative cities of gastronomy in the world, this is something that we can surely exemplify to the rest of the Philippines and in the world. You know, us Ilonggos, we're known for our essence of being loving and caring. Even my parents, I grew up with them saying I love you to us by cooking food for us, especially when you're sick. So this is something that I embody. This is something that I'd like to share to the rest of the world. We also have this one particular dish here called KBL, or Kadyos Baboy and Langka, with this particular ingredient called batuan that can never be taken away from this dish that makes it all so delicious. And I believe I'm truly a reflection of that. And such as in my vlogs that I mentioned earlier, I always write hashtag Dear Iloilo. Specifically tonight, ipubugal tagid ka. I promise to make you proud. Love, hashtag that Filipina Karen. Madamong salamat gid.
Ooh, all right. Okay, let's talk about her answer. And just full disclosure, as I mentioned earlier, I met this girl before when she competed at Miss Manila. She is one of the favorites in the pageant bubble, let's say, in the Philippines. One of the girls that people have been rooting for her to go national. I believe she has competed before in national level, but anyways, rooting for her to come back. And finally, here she is at Miss Iloilo, now moving on to the next stage of the competition, right? So one thing that I knew about her is that she is an eloquent speaker. Girl, let me tell you something. This girl can speak for hours. She knows how to add that sauce to stretch it and really make the answer very substantial, which sometimes can be an advantage, but it can also pull you back a little bit. I love the fact that she talked about tradition, that she talked about food, that she talked about her family, so many of the things that make the Philippines unique, and I'm sure that those are also core values in Iloilo. I really love the fact that she focused on the difference. Something that people could learn from is that she mentioned a specific dish from Iloilo, because in fairness, everyone has different dishes, and perhaps she has a closer connection to those dishes that are that remind her of her childhood or valued memories, but that doesn't mean that everyone else's dishes aren't good or just as good, right? So I appreciated that angle. And this girl, when I tell you she is smart, I wonder who are the judges tonight on this particular pageant, who is sitting there. If there is someone from the government, she's very clever because she gave a shout out to the government by highlighting the things that they have accomplished, the things that they are putting forward, and how they are perceived internationally, right? Now, if I had to give some feedback to this contestant, it will be basically sometimes you have to match the intensity of the question with your emotion. Through her delivery, she seemed to be a little bit emotional, a little bit touched, a little bit carried by feelings, and that's perfectly fine, but I don't feel like this was perhaps like a question that demanded that level of emotion. So sometimes you just have to pace yourself to not seem like you're trying too hard or like you're not trying enough. I don't think she was she was like borderline, so it's okay for me, but just to keep that in mind because that line is very thin. You can easily, cross the line and suddenly you are doing too much. All right, so very good job, Karen. I really love this answer. Let's move on to the next contestant.
Question.
Yeah, read it twice for you. As a woman of heartfelt beauty, what do you believe is one best practice of Iloilo that the rest of the Philippines can emulate? As a woman of heartfelt beauty, what do you believe is one best practice of Iloilo that the rest of the Philippines can emulate?
Thank you for that question. I believe that one best practice that Iloilo can share to nationwide is raising their women with resilience, yet somehow with grace. Because in Iloilo, we women are a product of women of our past, as well as the women of we are now. We owe it to the women we owe it to what we will become in the future. Yet, even though we are resilient, we still show our power, our strength with grace. And maybe we can share it to the world that us women cannot only be strong, but also be graceful. Because we women are women of heartfelt beauty.
And I thank you. Charot. Okay. There's a lot going on here in this answer. Honestly, it's not a bad answer by any means, but I think that we need to edit. Let's address the obvious. There were a couple of stumbles. I mean, she repeated a couple of times certain words. She wasn't so sure where she was going and which direction she was going for some parts of the answer. But overall, I think that she managed to address what was required of her. Now, similar to my previous example, I told you the question is asking you basically what is it about Iloilo that other people from the Philippines can learn from and grow from, right? So the first contestant mentioned a dish, something that she loved about Iloilo and that she hoped that others could emulate that. Perfect, no problem. Here, we're talking a little bit more about strength and resilience and empowering. So it's a very thin line to walk on because honestly, you are saying that here in Iloilo, we are strong and resilient and independent, and that's great and true. But then the question implies that whatever you're saying, the others could learn from. So does that mean that elsewhere in the Philippines, they don't have those things? So these are the type of answers that although they might be so obvious and those are terms that we hear so often in pageantry, we need to be careful because without even realizing, we could be implying that perhaps they don't have what I'm saying that we have, right? I don't think that was her intention at all, but I do think that perhaps if she was a little bit more precise about one aspect of Iloilo, rather than just being so general and talking about empowerment and strength and whatnot, it could have been a better answer just by sticking to something precise and concise. What do you guys think? Let me know down below if you agree with that.
Candidate number 10, that is a stunning look, can I just say?
Ooh.
Hindi talaga sila nagtipid sa bato.
I really love the look though. Who is this diva?
Oh. And now, are you ready for your final question?
I have no choice but to be ready.
Ay, hindi, pwede ka namin ibalik sa likod. Muna tayo may
Grabe
kape sa
ka.
likod.
Pwede ka pa magbagong isip.
Oo, sige. Pero alam kong palaban ang mga Ilongga kaya
Of
dyan.
course.
Bigay na natin ng
You know, this is something that I really miss in pageantry, and I mentioned this before. You can even go watch my video about trends we need to leave behind in 2024. I want more authenticity in pageantry. I want the girls to have fun. I want the girls to just be themselves and not be so rehearsed, trying to be so poised and so queenly and so polished. You know, we know girls, you have personalities. We know you don't behave and act and speak like this every single day of your life. So come on now, just let us see at least a glimpse of that personality. So I love this little answer that she had. Are you ready? Well, I have to be ready, you know? It's true, you have to.
All right, Rhea, let's do it, and I'll read the question twice for you. So, as a woman of heartfelt beauty, what do you believe is one best practice of Iloilo that the rest of the Philippines can emulate? As a woman of heartfelt beauty, what do you believe is one best practice of Iloilo that the rest of the Philippines can emulate?
Let's see if she has it. Can she answer?
We are an Ilongga with a heartfelt beauty. But I believe I am someone with a heartfelt mission.
Witty!
I
Ooh!
know have a lot of stories to tell. Every Ilonggos who strive, every woman who has quiet strength, and every children who have a hopeful dreams. If there is something that the Philippines could emulate in Iloilo, that is the stories of the Ilonggos.
Perfect.
The stories of resilience, the stories of excellence, and the stories of someone who is empowered.
Very good.
And right now, I am standing here as someone who is not just empowered, but someone who will bring the story of the lives of Iloilo. Because Iloilo isn't just a place, but a place, and a place that is worth telling. The story that is worth telling, I mean. Bato Iloilo, because we are the best. Thank you.
Yee! All right, so let's talk about this one. Honestly, I loved how this started. This is a perfect showcase of just being so witty, being so likable, having your personality out there and not trying to compromise. You know, she went with a little play on words. The topic that she was giving is heartfelt beauty. So I have a heartfelt mission. Wow, I mean, you already have my attention. From now on, you can tell me whatever you want, tell me whatever story it is, whatever anecdote, and I will listen to you because you managed to capture my attention. Now, I really like where she went in terms of, you know, talking about Iloilo and the stories and everything was so perfectly crafted, right? Of course, that's what sets you apart. That's what people can learn from. That's what people can grow from. Your story, because it's unique. No one can take that away from you. Until, and I mentioned this before here on the channel, no one can tell me that. I have video evidence of me saying these things. We must stop. Whoever is teaching these girls to say, and today, I stand here in front of you. Girl, no. We are not doing that in 2025. It is, to me, one of the most stereotypical and one of the most pageant patties phrases that we can have. And I'm not saying that against her because, come on now, she's not the only one who has done this. It's a phrase that we hear so often that is so burnt at this point that for me personally, it cheapens the answer. It takes away from it. And up until this point, she had a perfect execution. This is also the perfect example of sometimes it's better to just edit the answer and stick to what works rather than trying to expand and explain and be redundant, because she gave us a perfect answer in the beginning. Why are we talking now about I'm standing here in front of you and then she is stumbling on the words, talking about place, repeating place not once, not twice, but thrice? It's a problem. Overall, I think that it's still a very strong answer because that beginning, honestly, I think is my favorite beginning of the answer of these three candidates. But it was safe up until the middle part of the answer, and then, in my opinion, it went a little bit downhill. Not fully downhill, come on, let's give her some credit, but she didn't end as strong as when she started, right? What do you guys think about that? Let me know. All right, everyone, so there you go. That was the coronation night of Miss Iloilo 2025. This is the top 3 Q&A. Of course, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but Karen is the winner. So I'm excited to see what she's going to do in Miss Universe Philippines 2025, where this is going to take her. And best of luck to the runner-ups with their duties and the things that they will be working on in Iloilo for the remaining part of the year. Let me know down below, what do you think about my comments, my opinion, my feedback? Do you think it's fair? And if there are other regional, national, international pageants that you want me to talk about or react to, let me know as well. Thank you once again for being here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye now.